All right, we live.
What it do, what it do, what it do, good people, coming to y'all from Taz TV.
1Motion Sports.
Listen. How you feeling first and foremost, bro? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. Feeling pretty good. Happy, we in the middle of a nice basketball season, some competitive sports, so I'm feeling good about that. And just feeling good in general. How about yourself?
I'm good. And the family? How's the family?
Family doing real well. Got my firstborn son. He's growing a little fast. He'll be 5 months in about 3 weeks. So, newest extension of my family, so feeling pretty good about that.
Let me ask you this. How did you already get a Nerf football already to let them play with?
Hey man, it's crazy. I used to coach rec football, and one of the kids I used to coach on my first ever team, he just graduated high school last year. Me and him still got a really good relationship. He came to my baby shower, and I coached him in football my first year as a coach, and that was his gift to me for my son, was a little plastic football. Wow. So that was cool. That was cool as hell.
All right, let's. I want to ask you a few questions, right?
Okay.
First of all, can you tell the people your whole name?
Got you.
And where you from?
My name is Quentin Harper. I'm from East Baltimore, born and raised. That's me. That's where I'm from. I'm a graduate from Digital Harbor High School, class of 2009. And yeah, man, just grew up in this city. We got a rich sports history here. So I pretty much just been attached to it for, as long as I can remember, for the most part.
And that's love. And people, for those that don't know, Digital Harbor is the old Southern.
Yeah.
It's the old Southern. For the people that's my age, it's the old Southern.
Yep.
Now tell us, listen, I gotta ask you a few questions. What sports did you play? I want to know the rec that you played for, if you played rec ball.
Okay.
And I would like to know why did you choose Digital Harbor to go to attend school?
Okay. So I grew up playing, my first organized sport was actually baseball when I was in elementary school, but I always played baseball, basketball, football in the neighborhood, of course. And then my passion has always been football. That was the sport that I really cared about the most. I would do the other ones because naturally I was good at it, athletic, and most of the guys around me was doing it. So naturally, you just take heed to things like that. I started playing football in middle school for Parkside Warriors. It was a new program at the time. They're still around today, produced a lot of great athletes that's currently in college, that, graduated college and so forth. The founder of it is actually a Lake Clifton graduate. He played football at Boston College, Coach Dennis. I started there with football. Basketball was more so something I just did, like I said, because my older brother, that was his passion. So we had goals growing up, basketball hoop outside, or always shoot around. I really, really dove into basketball my 9th grade year. I actually didn't play football my 9th grade year just because I was in the process of figuring out which school I was going to go to. Funny story, I didn't apply to Digital Harbor. It was just more so of a thing, I guess, like a seeding situation where they were just trying to find groups of kids from different neighborhoods too. It was a fairly new school. I think the first graduating class was 2005, and I was an incoming freshman that year. So I ended up there. I wouldn't say I got enrolled late because I started the first day of school, but for whatever reason, I didn't play football. So I said, hey, I'm gonna give basketball a shot. Made the tryouts on the JV squad. It's kind of deep down the bench, but that was just a lack of me really preparing for, because like I said, it wasn't something that I was really passionate about, wasn't really training for or anything. So from that point, made that team, and then I said, hey, in the offseason, I'm just gonna go ahead, try to get some more reps or try to get better at it. So I started going to Oliver Rec, and I spent some time down there playing in some rec leagues. Eventually on the AAU team that practiced out of there. And then 10th grade year rolled around. That's when I got back into football, back into basketball, and just was a 2-sport athlete at Digital Harbor from there on.
Now tell the people some stats. What position you played, and yeah, tell the people let's take that walk with you.
Got you. So I started off as a running back. That was like naturally my first position, small, quick guy. By the time I got to varsity, I was still small, still quick, but still small. So my coach pretty much made a decision for me to move to receiver. Wasn't feeling it at first, but it ended up paying off for me. I had a pretty good high school career. Unfortunately, my team wasn't the best. We finished at about 500 my senior year. We had a lot of talent, but right as my senior year was approaching, we went through a coaching change. And we just didn't get off to the season that we hoped. But I was still pretty productive. Had big games against the biggest teams that we played that year. Any team, Dunbar.
Go ahead and talk to us. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I actually graduated the same year as Tavon Austin and a good friend of mine, John Perry. We all graduated class of 2009. So funny story, we played Dunbar towards the end of the season. And up to that point, they were undefeated. I think they may have lost one game at the beginning of the season, but it wasn't like a city league game. It was like to some other team in Maryland. But they were undefeated, beating every team in Baltimore City by 40 and 50. They get around to us, and of course, like I said, we was a 500 team. So they didn't really take us too serious going into the game. Their starting quarterback, who was my friend, I actually coach with him now, John Perry. He didn't start the game, so they started it back up. They came out, scored, and then we came out the very next series. I caught an 80-yard touchdown. So like we're thinking, yeah, we in the game. Y'all on the board, we on the board. So it's like I think 8-6. Then the very next series they come out, I catch an interception. So now I'm thinking I'm the man. Yeah, man, let's do this. What's up? And they put the starting quarterback in, and it just went south from there. I think we lost by like 40, close to 50 points. But like I say, individually, I did my thing. Had a touchdown, interception. Had a few tackles as well, so I definitely gave it my all.
Now let me ask you this: Did you get the tackle? Did you get a tackle on Tavon?
I did. I think I tackled him maybe 2 or 3 times. Very elusive guy, and it is a part of history for sure, because I know a good amount about the history of Baltimore City football. We had some great guys to come out here, public school, private school. But he was different. So he was definitely, in my opinion, like I said, we had some productive guys, but I think he's probably the best guy to come out of Baltimore, and do what he do, especially offensively.
Offensively, yeah. But you know what? I'm not going.
It was some guys
when I say that, I know I'm gonna get a bunch of inboxes. Oh.
Now look, I look. It's guys before him because I was able to watch Nathan Irving, who was right before him, and I was actually at the game where he played against Forest Park, and he ran crazy his senior year. I think he had like close to 500 yards in one game, or 4. Like it was crazy, So I know they do have a rich history of running backs, a rich history of football players in general. Know about Tommy Polly. They had another running back, I think Tavon's freshman year. He won number 1. I want to say his last name was Porty or Pote, something like that. He was a tough back. So I know they got some guys, but like I said, just the way, and maybe it's because of the eras. Around that time is where we was just getting into like getting film on YouTube, so you have most of his games documented. And like I said, guys were productive. But the way he did it, the way he made guys miss, like, was almost impossible to tackle. Like, and like even me tackling him, my brother, was at the game and he was just like surprised, like, yo, you actually tackled him. And I'm like, yeah, people got hits in on him, but in open field, it was just rare. In open field, he made most guys miss and it was a touchdown. But like I said, I was a pretty good athlete, so I played my part and did what I had to do.
Already, salute to Tavon too. Now, what made you get into? I mean, I know you love the history, you love sports, Baltimore sports anyway. But what made you say, you know what? I'm gonna start going to games, following games, reporting on games. What made you come to that point?
So I actually started off in social media management with a basketball company based out of LA named Mars Real. And what we did was cover the top high school basketball athletes in the country. So guys like Zion Williamson, actually one of the first videos that he posted that broke the internet, like I literally sent that video to his phone. He was at like 16 years old at the time. So guys like Zion, Trae Young, like I have like, documented like tweets, like telling people when Trae Young was in 11th grade, yo, he's the one. Like this guy is the one. Having conversations with my friends, one of my homeboys like, yo, he's too small. I'm like, there's no such thing as too small in basketball.
Right.
I can honestly say I did not think Trae Young would be this good this soon in the NBA, but seeing his skill at the level he had in high school, and he played in Oklahoma, it's not a huge basketball market. But seeing how good he was in 11th and 10th grade, like I knew he would be special. But with that company, like I said, I follow guys like them, Jason Tatum, Marvin Bagley. But I definitely noticed that it was big name guys who were 5 stars, ranked top 20, ranked top 50. And in Baltimore, we didn't have too many of those. While I was working there, I think the closest athlete that we covered on a consistent basis was Emmanuel Quickly, because he played at John Carroll. He's ranked a 5-star guard. He plays with New York Knicks right now. And the closest team to Baltimore that we actually had film of was St. Francis, because they both play in the MIAA. So maybe twice a year we would have footage of St. Francis versus John Carroll. And I think Ace was there. He may have been like a freshman or sophomore. Jordan Toles was still playing. He was like a sophomore, junior. St. Francis had a pretty good squad. But like I said, I just noticed that it wasn't much exposure for the local area. And like I said, with that company, we mainly covered those 5-star athletes or those national powerhouses, IMG Academy, Montverde, those type of schools. And I just felt like it was a void that needed to be filled here. Definitely felt like we got a lot of talent at the public school level and at the private school level. So I just felt like I can't say no one. There's people doing it, who cover sports here. But I felt like just me with my experience, me being connected with a bunch of athletes that I either coached, played with, played against, or just, have a history or knowledge of. I just felt like I could bring something different to the table. So that's how 1Motion Sports was born. I had just got out of coaching rec football. I bought a camera and I said, I'm just going to I actually went to a JV football game. And it was about maybe 4 or 5 kids playing that I knew from coaching. And I said, I'm just going to record this game. And, it was a few nice plays in the game. So I said, I'm just going to put this up on the internet, and that's pretty much how it started.
Already. Now that's love. I'm glad you even, because I ain't gonna lie, us in this area, I feel like, all right, we got DC over here, we got New York over here, like we're in between. We get more today. We get more coverage now than anything. You know what I'm saying? We get more coverage.
It's growing by the year.
Yeah. Now we had 2 kids that made the McDonald All-American game.
Yep.
Cam Whitmore and what's the other kid? Jarvis Walker.
Yep.
Jarvis Walker. Excuse me. Now, how you feel about that?
I think it's great. And that's another thing. I'm definitely not. It's some people who are opposed to guys locally transferring to powerhouses. Well, Cam is actually their powerhouse in the Maryland area. Spalding, but they're not a national powerhouse, but you do have guys like Jarvis Walker, KJ Evans, and Derek. What's Derek's last name?
Queen.
Derek Queen. Who transferred. And I remember I posted, that they were going to these powerhouses, and people definitely have the right to express their opinion. And I do understand where they're coming from, because it's nothing like going to a game and getting to see these kids play live. So on one hand, you have some kids that's like, hey, you have some fans that's like, hey man, you should stay at home and play at a school here, so the city can embrace you and really support it. You that guy? Look,
I'm that guy.
And I feel that.
Yeah, go ahead. My fault, cut you off.
No, you good. You good. But I feel that. Go ahead. You got it.
Go ahead. My bad. I keep.
You good.
I keep cutting you off.
So look, I feel that. And I'm not saying, because prime example, Cam made the All-Star list. The McDonald's game, and he stayed home. But one of my arguments was definitely, well, sometimes you do develop more at certain programs. And you get more exposure at certain programs. So that was my angle. But I'm also that guy that loves a lot of experience. Like I have so many memories of, being on the baseline or the court, like on the sideline, and the memories never going to leave. The game might have been 10 years ago, and I remember, so I understand that as well. But I'm definitely happy that those local guys definitely made the McDonald's game. And I look forward to watching it and see what they do.
Man, yeah. Now, see, let me give you my perspective.
Right.
And as far as their parents and everything, I mean, no disrespect, because that's your kid and everything.
Right.
No disrespect. You know what I'm saying? That was still a good move. It's still that's not a bad step. However, you see what St. Francis doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
St. Francis, if they had another big man, Dark Queen would have stayed.
Mm-hmm.
They nationally ranked.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If KJ would have came down there, now they didn't already beat some nationally ranked teams. St. Francis with a small
scrappy group. Yeah.
Right. I just feel like sometimes they'd have went down there. They'd have been ranked higher even than what they were. They'd have beat the teams that they probably lost to, because they could match up with everybody. Right. You still gonna have all the coaches coming here to see these guys because they winning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and then the kids get a chance. They get a chance to really get that love from the city. And what I mean, it's not even, they probably won't even feel it right now.
Mm-hmm.
15 to 20 years from now, when people coming up to you and say, I remember watching you, who blah, blah, blah. I get that to this day.
Right.
And I wasn't as high as them kids, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But the people remember Baltimore. Pay attention to high school. At the high school, they got to read and go look for certain players, unless those players is top players, and you know they're gonna go to the league or the NFL. Other than that, out of sight, out of mind. However, when you stay and play, it don't matter how long you go away. When you come back, you gonna get that love. You gonna get embraced. That's the only thing I was saying. I feel as though they can still get to the same place by chilling. You know what I mean? But
no, I respect that. I respect that for sure. I respect that.
You know what I'm saying? If you want to transfer, do it your senior year.
Yeah.
That's all. Do you want, do your senior year? Yeah, do your senior year. This, because not only if those kids would have stayed, they gonna bring light to other kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, and shout out to Team Mello and Team Trill. You know what I'm saying, with those guys. Both of them doing a good job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest. I do wish, and even on the football scene, I wish that we do get back to those big names being at these public schools, because if you really think about it, it's some great athletes. But in the last 20 years, 3 of the biggest basketball players come out of Baltimore all did it through public schools. That's Will Barton, Josh Selby, and Akil Carr. You know what I mean? Like I said, we had some great athletes besides them as well. But those are some of the biggest, names that had impacts on the game. And, Lake Clifton, and Patterson, all public schools. So I do kind of hope we can get back to that eventually too. And, Raleigh had a good run of athletes come through there as a public school. But, as long as it's just Baltimore in general, like I say, I would appreciate, seeing these guys play more than once a year, because you'll have those tournaments where maybe they're coming up to DC or they coming up to, one game in Maryland. But people want to see people live.
Okay, that's cool. That's definitely cool. Right, now,
so
people,
I got a question for you. Who is well, I know your audience already know, but tell us a little bit about Dantes Dean.
Mm-hmm. Dantes Dean attended Dunbar.
Okay.
Attended Maryville first my freshman year.
Okay.
Transferred to Dunbar. Won 2 state championships. 1 city championship. First team All Metro my senior year. Second team All Metro my junior year. Went to prep school. won a national championship, signed early. We're gonna get in that later on.
Yeah,
Signed early, try to get out my contract. Ended up going to a JUCO down in Kansas, Seward County. Went down there with Jamal Brown, a former player of the year here.
Okay.
Went down there and did the same, sign early. However, signed early to Georgia State. While we was down there, we didn't win a championship. We won them out of the division championship. My second year, I got the player of the year of the conference. At the time, the Jayhawk conference, y'all can go look it up. Jayhawk conference was the top junior college conference in the country at the time.
Right.
After that, I went to Georgia State. Once I left Georgia State and transferred to a D2 called Fort Hays State.
Okay.
At this time, I ain't gonna lie, I was so, and we're gonna get into that. Like I was so drained from the game and the things that I ain't gonna say the politics, but the things off the court, it kind of threw me for a loop. You know what I'm saying? Right. So after Fort Hays State, I stopped playing. I lived in St. Louis for a couple of years, and then I came back home, started working with the kids, and having more kids, and
okay,
and shit, and now I'm here. I started TES TV once COVID hit. I was talking about it for like 4 or 5 years. Like and it started out far as my era. I felt as though that the players in my era wasn't getting enough respect. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I'm gonna highlight the players that I felt as though that didn't get enough glow when we played. And it just took off. You know what I'm saying? It took off. A lot of times people thought I was gonna be on some dumb ball, and I could, because there's so much history.
Yeah, there's a rich history there.
Yeah.
However, some of my audience, you know, some of them know, but some of them don't know. You know what I mean? So. Right.
And so it's like, and I started researching more. I started researching other eras. It kind of humbled me. You know what I'm saying? Because at one point in time, I'm like, man, we could play with them guys. I still feel like we could play with them guys.
Right.
But I was underestimating some of the shit, like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Then I get to reading, and I'm like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like, they playing against top tish, they playing this one thing about Baltimore, we always played against the best, and we beat the best. We ain't know they just gonna beat up on us and things of that nature. Every era, including even after me. Everybody, they do their thing. But we got a stigma here too. We got a little stigma here. We got a little stigma here. That's what I like. Let me say that.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that, because that's like a conversation that goes on frequently that I hear from people who I know personally, people who I don't know. It's like they think, you know, in some situations, some groups or some eras was tougher, or, you know, like even looking at like public schools in the 90s and the 80s, like these public schools looked like grown men. You know, you had teams that was, you had a couple 5'8", 5'5" guards, but then you also had
6'9",
6'9", 6'8", 6'7". You know, you had guys 6'5", maybe had 6 or 7 guys on one team that was 6'5" and taller. You know, and that's true, but there's also a reason why it's not like that today. You know, because you know, it's some more schools, some programs, like I said, at the Catholic or private school level, where guys who would normally be in a Baltimore City program or public school, they're going to these different programs. So now some of the bigger guys or some of the more talented guys definitely leaving the city. But that's another question that I had for you. Which era would you say was your favorite, excluding yours? Well, you can start. If it's yours, you can mention yours. And then I guess I'll go with your second favorite era.
I'm gonna exclude mine. I'm gonna exclude mine, and I'm gonna say the era that I'm really paying attention to right now, the '90s, the early '90s.
Okay.
Early '90s. Well, yeah, that '90. I can say 90 to I can say 90 to 96, 90 96. And I also like the '70s.
The '70s.
Yes, I love the '70s. Right.
Okay.
I'm gonna speed you up to that. We ain't gonna go in there right now, but I'm gonna speed you up to that, and I'm gonna explain why they had big. They had big guards. I'm reading the paper. They had guards that could shoot from Steph Curry, from Dame Lillard. You know what I'm saying? They as we talk about football also.
We was on basketball, so I'm also talking about basketball. Yeah.
The '70s and early '90s.
Okay.
They my yeah.
Okay. All right. So you graduated what year again?
I left Dunbar in '99, but I graduated prep school 2000.
Okay. All right. So, let's say the era that you said was your favorite. You said let's just say the '90s, for example, the early '90s. How do you think that era compares to this era today?
Depends what rules we playing with.
What you mean by that?
We playing like it depends how we playing the game. Now, if we playing with, because back then it's more physical. It's a more physical game. But they wasn't as skilled as all the kids is today. Right. Now, and everybody can't coach. We had some legendary coaches too. And not only the teams, it just don't be a 5 back then. It'd be at least about 89 guys. You know what I'm saying? That can go. You know what I mean? Your Lake Cliftons, your Southerns, your Dunbars, your Southwesterns. You know what I'm saying? Those teams usually had guys that could go other places and start coming off the bench. You know what I'm saying? So this era, I love because I ain't gonna lie, I'll be amazed sometimes because of the skill level is so high at the high school. When I played, you may have 1 or 2 kids that's gonna shoot threes, and everybody know he the shooter. You know what I'm saying? You may have 1 or 2 kids on your team that could really jump. You know what I'm saying? Now you got 4 or 5 kids on one team that could jump. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is practicing and shooting a 3. You know what I'm saying?
Even the big man.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna take the old school. I ain't gonna lie, because some of this, some stuff, it's like even the moves. Everybody do the same move.
Yeah.
Everybody do the same move. It's like a mechanic thing, you know. And I think we looked at the game a little different back then. Like, for instance, we looked at it like, damn near it's gonna be a fight. It's like it's a fight without it being a fight. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm gonna speak to you. I'm gonna respect you, but I'm gonna keep it moving. We ain't never, even down to the point where we all didn't work out together. Now we could probably work out on our own in the morning, and we're gonna play each other in the evening. At some type of BNBL, Unlimited, some hood tournaments. I say my into, it is not my senior year. No, I didn't even say my senior year. Anytime I went to prep school, where I started working out with other guys from other schools.
Okay.
And that was just like, we ain't working out to get better. We still bumping against each other.
Right.
The bump down here, you know, iron sharpen iron. So it's always love.
For sure. All right. So I would say one more question. During your time in high school, who would you say is the top 5 players who pretty much played in your league? So Baltimore City, schools that played against Dunbar, who would you say is the top 5?
Top 5 players?
Or we can just go with your last year at Dunbar just to narrow it down, if that's cool.
That's fine. That's cool. That's cool. My top 5 players. My number one, LaFonte Johnson. That was my point guard that transferred to Towson Catholic.
Okay.
Down in Dunbar. Well, they put him out down there. They author aged him down there. So he came down. That's my number one. I won a city championship with him, a state, and went to prep school, won national championship with him.
Okay.
Timothy Lyles, he got put out. Well, he didn't get put out. He transferred to Mount Zion, but it's tough.
Okay.
You had a DeMond Brown, tough from Randallstown, Murphy Holmes.
He played at Randallstown.
Yeah.
Okay.
You had a Chucky Harris. I call him. He was James Hart before James Hart left-handed.
Okay.
We had a Pooh Bear, Cornelius McMurray.
Okay, Southwestern.
Yeah, range crazy. We had I'm trying to go for because every school, Northwestern.
I know it's hard. I know it's hard.
Yeah.
Some guys.
And so, I'm just trying to say names that was good, that was different from the regular names that everybody think I'm gonna say.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Forest Park, you had Coach Mookie, you know what I mean, at Thrill. Carver, you had Mike Jones, top 5 in scoring in the state.
Okay.
Edmonton, you had Virgil. You had Virgil. What's Virgil Singletary? He was, I think Virgil was top 10, top 5 in the state score. Southern, that was like another route. Like, I respect them guys. Zeke Johnson, Melvin Scott, Charles Scott, Johnny Hemsley. When I came to school, Johnny Hemsley was the big dog. He was the senior down there.
Right.
Kofi Pointer, Lake Clifton, Kevin Braswell, my big bro Mike King, and Mike King will come on. He can come on a great conversation. Okay. Rodney Bass, who was Corsley Edwards that transferred from Mount St. Joe. Yeah, I'm gonna say that's about it. Give a shout out to my man Dipper, even though Dipper got a spot took down there, but that's neither here nor there. Dipper played.
Okay.
Yeah, that's man. It was. I'm trying to think who was over there at Patterson. I want to say Tremaine and them was over there at Patterson. City, you had Omar Smith, the coach of City right now, shooting from everywhere. What's his name? Kenny Carter. City. I'm missing some guys. Mervo. You had Marcus Hatton, Damon Jennifer. And you know, Mo was our player of the year my senior year. Yeah, okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's who hold the torch in my era. That's who I say, you know what I'm saying? That's who hold the torch for my era.
Yeah, some guys.
Yeah, that's Jamal Brown. Jamal Brown with the Dunbar, player of the year, came out of nowhere, 10th grade year. Only played 2 years here in the city. However, when I say beast, and he's like a brother to me. He went down to he went to Maine Central first, then went to JUCO, the same JUCO I went to, Stewart County. He got player of the year that first year, and then I got it the next year.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna get him back on. We're gonna get everybody that I interviewed before. We're gonna do it again. You know what I'm saying? And something.
All right, sounds good, man. I think those are the only questions I had, like, for right now. Anything else come off the top of the head, I definitely ask. But you know, sound like y'all definitely had a tough era. Some of the names I'm familiar with, some of them I'm not. But that's why, you know, I reached out to you, you know, in hopes of collaborating, because like I said, We have a rich sports history here. And as well as getting it out, I still, like to learn about some guys. Like I said, some of them I'm familiar with some of these other names. I wish somewhere out there, it's probably definitely some video footage. But of course, we got some newspaper articles you could just read up on.
Man, I've been asking people, if you got any clips, you got any videos, send them to me. Send them to me.
Yeah, man, I was
Say, I gotta
actually
look
watching.
for them. Yeah.
The same way you were saying, you got started during the pandemic. I was just sitting around in the house, and I'm gonna try to find them again, but I stumbled across like some old BNBL games from like the 70s or 80s or something like that. I want to say probably the 80s. Some BNBL games, and they were 4 games too. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna try to find them links. I think it was Bentlow. And I want to say maybe Chick Webb or something like that. But it was rec games pretty much. So, I definitely want to get into some of that stuff too.
And that's love. That's love, man. Man, listen, I'm excited. I'm excited for the future, where this could go. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I like to poke shots, so don't. I like to talk my crap. Full crowd always first, but I'm gonna be fair. I ain't gonna, what I'm saying? I feel a little certain type of way right now because our name is not our name. I feel like the city get it, and I understand, but I feel like the city, they talk about how they talk about the city schools and the city athletics is crazy. I feel like it's kind of been left for dead.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like reading the papers, reading the articles, I can see the change in everything.
Yeah.
Now, my private school is great. My freshman year, before my freshman year, tried to get into St. Francis. I was working out with Towson Catholic. My grades wasn't good enough to get in there. So I understand, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it. But we gotta talk about the flip side of that too. Because everybody don't go to private school and it's a successful story.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, some guys that get there and transfer right out,
Right.
What they thought they was gonna be. And sometimes that financial aid get to being too much too. So, and shoot, you even see, depending on the situation, you might have a better opportunity or a better squad school in the city, so it's all just.
And I feel like this, if somebody like Tree, you even got Danny down at Dunbar, Omar, that's City, that's a good school. I don't know who coaching over at Poly now. That's still a good school. Dunbar is still a good school, right? Lake Clifton, Tree gonna make sure he run it like a camp.
Yeah.
However, it's up to the student and the family, the parent, whoever giving the support.
Yeah.
So when I hear these stories like, oh, they ain't gonna be able to get no grades down there, or they ain't gonna be able to learn, like they're not gonna give you the grades. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna give that. And I'm gonna say this: if Dunbar get a couple kids, feel like the name itself, the history itself, I guarantee you, whoever kid, you'll get at least about 10 or 15 more offers or something like that. I'm gonna tell you, when I changed from Maryville to Dunbar and went to Kent, and listen, like I said, like I wasn't no top 50 player, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But from the school itself, it started rolling in.
Yeah.
When we talking, we had a guy from Portland. Just a quick story. We had a guy from Portland come and talk to the campus, right? So he's talking about, at this time, he had J.R. Ryder was playing for Portland. So he get to talking like, yeah, it was this guy. His guy's name was Skip Wise. So I'm like, I perked up a little bit. Yeah, he went to school, Dunbar. And I'm like, hey, talk about Dunbar and Baltimore. We're in Annapolis right now. You see what I'm saying? So it's and I could go anywhere. You playing? What school you with? Dunbar. Oh, da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? So I look at it like it's just a matter of kids and the parents just taking that chance.
Mm-hmm.
I know Dana, she coached and she played at the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I know she's gonna demand a certain type of respect, and you gonna do your work there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
speaking of Skip Wise, I think he got 2 grandsons that play Forest Park right now.
yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
they good.
Yeah, they can go. They just got smacked by City like last week, but they just had a bad game. I think they're better than what they played that game. And they've been together since they was like freshmen. So
Okay.
this is probably their best season. They only lost 2 games so far.
Okay.
I think this is their best season that they had in like the more recent years for sure.
Now let me ask you, looking at the games, you know, you've been following them all season long.
Mm-hmm.
What team surprised you, and what players came out of left field that you like? Oh, he having a good season.
So this year was very different because it's the first year since 2020 for Baltimore City sports. So we had that abrupt ending where Lake Clifton only lost, maybe they lost 2 games that year. They lost to Poly, of course, and they lost to maybe some other team that's not in Baltimore City. And then you had Poly. You had, I think, 3 teams: Poly, Lake Clifton, and Emerson. So 4A, 2A, or 4A, 2A, and 3A. All of them, I believe, was winning the state championship that year. And they literally cut the season 3 or 4 days before the Final Four. So you're talking about we about to win our state championship next week. Poly would have been 4 in a row. Lake Clifton, that would have been Coach Tree, I think 5th or 4th. And then Emerson, that would have been there, I think 2nd in like the last 8 years or something like that. So you got all these Baltimore teams about to win a championship, and then they just snipped the season like that because of COVID. And then nothing in 2021. And then to come back, well, nothing for 2020-2021 season. And then the 21-22 season, which is now, to come back. The first game I actually caught live was Lake Clifton. And it's like, all right, maybe 2 of these guys transferred in. None of these guys played varsity for Lake Clifton before. Like out of the entire team, none of them played varsity. And that first game was against Ben Franklin. And I've been around Lake Clifton since I was in the 6th grade because my brother went there. So I would go to his JV games, then eventually play varsity. I would watch their games. So I knew of Coach Tree in the program since then. But just to see it, and I'm recording the game, and I'm like, damn, like this do not feel like a Lake Clifton team. Like, to the point, like before the game, they in a circle, they doing their team. Like, they messed it up because this is all of their first time playing varsity, so they really didn't even know how to do it correctly. And then it's one of the guys who graduated last year, who I know, and he was like, they ain't even doing it right. And I'm like, yo, I know. Like, it just felt funny, and the game got started. It was close in the first half. Like, Ben Franklin looked like they was hanging in there. But like I said, just to see how they got started, even from just the pregame warm-up, them not knowing from them being on JV last year and watching the varsity warm-up, or just from a few of them being on varsity and return, just to see how the season started. But eventually they got it clicking by like the 3rd quarter. They turned it up. They won by, I think, like 20 points. But I actually saw them play a few times since then. So they surprised me. I want to say they surprised me probably the most. They do have talent. So it wasn't like, it's just, talent came from out of nowhere. But like I said, it was just different coming from off that COVID season, this being the first actual season. Like, they hadn't played basketball in like over a year inside their gym. Another team, Emerson, is good. I won't say they surprised me that much, just because I expected them to be good. They had a few good returners that came up from the JV and varsity as well. I want to say the team that surprised me the most in the city is probably Forest Park.
Okay.
They got off to a good start. Like I said, they only lost 2 games, and I think they started the season maybe 6-0. And they didn't play the tougher teams in Baltimore City. So they hadn't played Lake Clifton. They had 2 losses to Dunbar and City. So they hadn't played Lake Clifton, Paris, and Maryville, any of those guys yet. But they, no disrespect to them, but, you're just not used to seeing Forest Park even get off to that good of a start. So, they impressed me. The team that I really, really like, I do like City. I like City. And they have some young guys, and, like Lake Clifton, they have guys who pretty much can take turns scoring. Like, I've been following the box score so far this season. You have this guy has 30, small forward has 30. The next game, the point guard has 30. The next game, the shooting guard and the point guard got 25 and 25. The freshman, the first game of the season, the freshman guard started the season with like 25, so they have a young team. I think they may have 1 senior in their starting lineup, maybe 2. But they got a good young team. So I really like City too.
All right. You got Victor Molan. Victor Molan, his son play over City.
Okay.
Played down Dunbar. You had Keon Johnson went to St. Francis and Southern. His son play up City too.
Yeah. I actually was just DMing him earlier. He was asking me about coming to a game this week. I think they play Pikesville tomorrow, so I might catch that. Yeah, but I was actually just talking to him earlier today.
All right. Now, since we've been going back and forth with this one, right? You want to give them we could do the spotlight on the next show. Since I let me say that off camera. I don't want to. Let me say that off camera, but yeah, moving forward, people, we don't have it set up far as an order, but we're gonna spotlight what's going on now. The high school kids now. We're gonna have conversations. We're gonna have conversations about topics. What's the talk of the town? We're gonna have more. We're gonna have guests on, and we're gonna talk. And we will also talk about the history of the game, football, basketball. So it's gonna be it's gonna be a history fact check. And yeah, we're gonna have some fun with this, Baltimore. We definitely gonna have some fun, man.
Yeah, and if y'all have any suggestions, just let us know in the comments on YouTube. Y'all follow us both on Instagram. You got any guys, y'all want to see us try to get on for an interview, just let us know. We're gonna try to bring y'all as much sports talk as we can. I'm looking forward to it too, man.
And the females too. Y'all not excluded. Y'all not excluded. Y'all not excluded at all. I have my team, Tony Kennedy. She played down Dunbar with UMBC, played ball. So yeah, she helped me out a lot. You know what I'm saying? She on my staff. And Dipper usually handles the Twitter. He usually handles Twitter, and he got his own website going on. Double B basketball. Well, yeah. So let me we can wrap it up. Anything you got to say?
Hey man, just stay tuned. Like I said, y'all got any suggestions? Let us know in the comments. Just make sure y'all stay tuned, tune in. I'm gonna try to bring y'all this as many times as possible. We didn't work out the schedule completely yet. But like I said, we definitely want to get the sports history out and just bridge the gap. Like I told Taz when we first met, I said my platform for the most part have a younger following, mainly people that's in high school right now. And some older people as well. But we wanted to just make sure they know the history, and I know Taz, he does his research, I do my research too. And, we just want to get that stuff out there, and just let people know what Baltimore, has had in the past and what we currently have as well. Keep the older people up there as well. So looking forward.
Facts. Listen here, people. We're trying to do it to the point that when people come to Baltimore City, the sports, male or female, when they come here, they're gonna want to come on this. They're gonna want to come on this platform and speak and talk. You know, that's a goal. That's a goal. You know, we got some pros and everything paying attention already. We continue to do what we do. Sky's the limit. Man.
Yep. Look forward to it, man, and appreciate you taking time out your day so we can get this pilot first episode done. You know,
Yeah.
getting the people who, you know, don't follow me get to know who I am. The people on my end to get to know who you are. Like I said, man, we're gonna keep building. You know, connect with some of these, you know, great athletes that we have.
Facts. Had fun. Well, shit. Coming live from Tez TV.
1Motion Sports.
Holla.
All right.